Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwash to Be Broke series, the show that where we expose the lies we were taught since we were born and what's truly possible. Most people aren't stuck because of some lack of talent or so. Most people are stuck because they were trained to think small and they don't really realize what is actually possible in this world and what we can do as a humans, accomplish as a humans. And today I'm here with another amazing guest, and we will going to be diving deep into real interesting topics. She's a mindset uh, slash relationship coach and expert, dating expert, basically. And she has lots of experience in business. Her parents from both sides are in entrepreneurship, so she was born in that environment. So there's going to be a really interesting conversation to hear what actually like when a kid growing up in this type of environment, how is it different from other people and so on, so we can learn even for our kids and so on how we can actually implement this to our business, to our families and so on, like how we can lead our kids towards a better success, better better life, and not only for kids but also for ourselves. So without further ado, super pumped to introduce on the show Diana Mandell. And I want to start straight up with the first question, really easy question when it comes to um, your background, who actually Diana is. If you can give us a little bit of your context, how did you get into basically entrepreneurship in what you do and what you are actually like, who is Diana?
Thank you for having me. I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was little, and I had a very specific vision from literally for as long as I can remember. For whatever reason, it was me sitting at a very large mahogany desk, which is not even really the vibe that I like, but okay, fine. And I put my high-heeled shoes, my feet cross-legged on the desk, and I look around and I'm like, I built this.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, it's just that specific, like exactly that. And I had it since I was little, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think my parents, both being entrepreneurs, made it look easy because the hard part came before I existed. And I
Hmm.
think some of the hardship that they had while I did exist, they just shielded me from.
Hmm.
So the scary part of it, the risk, the daily sort of ups and downs that we deal with, the insanity, I didn't see a lot of it. And
Hmm.
so I looked at it as I can be my own boss and I can basically do what I want and
Have you ever
have
worked? Have you ever
independence.
worked actually?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, my first job, I was a babysitter. I was
Hmm.
probably around like 10 or 11. And, I was a mother's helper. And then I worked at a couple different gyms. And I worked in real estate for a little bit. I worked in fashion for a bit. So the kind of 22 to 25 before I went to grad school, I did work then as well. I just couldn't find anything that I liked. And I didn't like being told what to do. I do not like that. Um, that was not really my thing. And I didn't like the idea of making someone else rich, off of my talents.
This
And
is
I
true.
felt like
This
my
is
peers around
mm,
me, who were really smart and really bright, I didn't find that particularly appealing either. And I liked, the idea of flexibility when, I can work at 10 p.m. if I want to, whereas
mm,
obviously if I'm a per hour, um, type of employee, that's not an option. And I was told what to wear, and certain jobs that I had. I just don't like that. I don't feel that that
mm,
has anything to do. I understand it goes along with the brand, but I found there was a lot more emphasis on things like that as
mhm,
opposed to training or, my talents or where I'm best suited and everyone else for that matter. And I felt like in corporate, one thing I didn't like is that I felt like people would climb the ladder not because they deserved to be, but because it was just sort of time to, right? Where it's like, oh, Jim's been here, for 3 years, it's time to promote him. And it's like, what? If he doesn't know
mm,
leadership or he doesn't understand that position or he's never worked with people under him or whatever it may be, it's not necessarily his time. So I find a lot of things in corporate that they're almost successful despite themselves. And
mhm.
now I feel like it's even worse than it's ever been in terms of just ownership, customer service, training, education. people caring about their jobs. I don't know, the whole thing is kind of a mess, unfortunately.
Yeah, I remember from our conversation before we jump into interview, you said that your husband is in local businesses or something
Hmm.
like that, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
When it comes to local businesses, what you are experiencing when it actually comes to are you working with local business or you are owning a local business?
So my husband owns a local business,
Okay,
and then for me, I see clients all over the world. Some
okay,
fly to me
okay.
and see me in person, where we'll do a VIP day, but oftentimes it's on Zoom and virtual.
Hmm.
And it's nice because I don't just see people. I originally started
Hmm.
just seeing people in New York, and I would see people in person, which I loved, but I was just spending half the day kind of running around Manhattan trying to find people and get to people. So once the kind of whole world of Zoom opened up to me, it was a beautiful thing. I mean, again, I see people internationally now, so it's wonderful.
So
Except the time zone part.
you've been
Really
actually
have to know
running
math.
you've been actually running to people like literally physically on the streets and talking to them. Have you been doing literally like cold basically? I don't know how it is even like what is this method actually named for? Is it like cold approach or I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I never did that, but I
Hmm.
would go to people's offices and I'd be kind of running all over Manhattan trying to meet with my clients. And sometimes traffic and all that did not necessarily want to
Wow.
go at the time that I wanted to go. So it was definitely funky. And I ended up seeing less people because I'd have to put basically an hour, let's say, into commute in between each
Hmm.
client. And then I just end up stressed out and it was just kind of miserable. Then I had clients coming to me. That was better, obviously, but it was still limited. I wanted to see people from, just different areas and having different challenges. New York City obviously has its challenges, but I liked being, let's say, around someone from the Midwest who has like 500 people, let's say in their town. Like that's a lot harder than New York City, where you could walk out,
Yeah.
of your place and probably have a date,
Would you
within an
would you
hour.
say would you say starting this way it would like it's way easier than doing stuff online, like starting online.
I actually wish that I did start online, but it wasn't really a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was like just starting to kind of become a thing. Like Zoom didn't exist, I don't think. It was kind of more like Skype, that
Yep.
people were using at that point. And so, and like FaceTime, things like that. So Zoom wasn't really a thing. So when Zoom became something, it was like, wait a minute, I can
Mm.
actually change this entire model because it was kind of crazy. So the first iteration was just kind of running to other people's, places. Then it got a little bit better when people came to me, but it still was, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of
For
being able
sure,
to
it was
see.
really good practice, in my opinion, because like most of the people are
It
scared to
was.
do even like first step, like literally even message to people, and you had the balls basically to going inside of different, basically places and literally having a conversation in person with people. This is like that's another level of like confidence in yourself and finding to be able to do that, right? This is really really powerful, because like at this day, like these days, everything is really like it's so simple to go online and start talking to people, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who doing the same thing. So it's way harder to actually get somebody to reply or respond. You have to have a skills at least to know and understand how human operates. Because if you don't, in my opinion, if you would go still today these days and do what you did, I think your success would be way faster than like get at least few couple of people and get out from the rat race, basically from the whole, working in corporate job and so on. It would be way faster than going and starting business online, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely, I got a lot of understanding of hard work and not just
Mhm.
sitting, behind a computer, and hoping people come. I mean, it
Yeah,
really started from the bottom, and
yeah.
like on my feet. Um, and I almost don't remember that. Like I don't think about that often. So it's actually interesting that we're talking about it now. It feels like a different
You
world. I
did
mean,
something
that
that
was a long
not
time
most of
ago.
the people actually do, and
Yeah,
this is really really good. Yeah,
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it was an interesting way to start.
Yeah, 100%. So I have a question for you. When it comes to, being in this type of environment that you haven't really been lacking, money since your young age and so on, like you've been growing up in this type of environment, there has to be something more meaningful than money that drives you to do actually this, like having this success and starting a business. May I know, or can you share with us what was it?
Yeah, I think my career almost chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And it does sound corny when I say it. I kind of want to like throw up in my mouth when I say it, but it's true. And there are so many different points in my life that made it very apparent to me, both from I just understood things and saw things that other people didn't about other people. And it's I've always had it. I've always been intuitive. You can give me like 5 minutes of your story and I can tell you exactly what you need to work on. Like I'm razor sharp at that. I don't care who you are. I can 100% do that. I saved a girl's life from suicide when I was 10. I was nicknamed the therapist in high school. Everyone came to me with their problems, everyone, and not just relationship stuff, anything. And there really wasn't anyone to go to, frankly, at that point. A lot of people were not going to their parents saying, I need to see a therapist. The
Mm-hmm.
school counselor, I don't even know if they existed. There kind of was nowhere to go. And I felt that I was a safe space for people. And even now, people will come up to me and just sort of share their life story and are confused as to why they did that, especially people that are not particularly open people. But there's something about me. Every single person has a talent,
Mm-hmm.
whether they realize it or not, whether they actually want to do something with it or not. But I really believe that every single person on this earth was put here for a reason to do something to better the world in whatever way. And for me, this is 100% it. I'm like good at a few things, but this in particular is 100% my thing. Like there is no other option. And there were times in my career where it was tough. It hasn't all just been smooth sailing. And for a second, I'd be like, maybe I should just say fuck it and start doing something else or do a 9 to 5 or make my life easier because this is hard. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
easy about entrepreneurship. And by the next day, I'd be like, nope, it's just there is no other option. There is nothing in this world that I would be better at. And frankly, I just become better and better at what I do. The more I do it, the longer I do it. Um, and yeah, I just fall in love with it even more.
Mm-hmm. So, is there a reason why you choose actually the relationship? What is the deep meaning behind it?
I did. And the reason is because we all have trauma. We all have
Mhm.
insecurities. We all have fear. We all have all of these things. But where it tends to come out the most is our intimate relationships because we can't hide there. We can
Mhm.
hide it a bit, in work. We can hide it with our friendships and our family and other parts of our lives. But when it comes to our intimate relationships, you really can't hide those things, especially if you have a real connective relationship with someone. So, like, yes, you can hide things and have kind of a surfacey type of relationship. But if you really want an ideal relationship, you really have to like let it all hang out.
Mhm.
And that's like one piece of it. And I always found that really fascinating that there kind of was nowhere to hide it. I also was like a total shit magnet. In my 20s, I just dated terribly because I really didn't have the proper support. I'd been in therapy since I was in high school, but I did not receive the best help, which is why I partially exist. My business exists where I try to be every single day the coach, therapist, mentor, guide, whatever you want to call me, that I never received when I was young. So I just kind of shit all over my life because I had had a lot of trauma that hadn't been dealt with properly. And one of the biggest ways that I was just a disaster was my romantic life. And
Mhm.
when I started to actually work on myself, which is a whole rock bottom story, it's a whole thing. But for now, I decided to go through my own coaching program because I didn't know what else to do because I'd gone through so many therapists.
Mhm.
And about a month later, I put myself out there just kind of for fun. I just wanted to see if anything had changed dating wise for me. And I actually met my husband, I don't know, a couple weeks after that. So it's very fast and not really what I expected. But it was very interesting with what I saw. obviously I showed up differently because I'd really started to do the work and I like really took a deep dive very quickly just because of who I am and what I do for a living, obviously. So I like kind of 5X'd it, but I started to notice it wasn't that every single guy that I went on a date with was like my guy, right? But what I did notice that was super interesting is that every date that I went on, it was like a good, balanced, healthy human being. Like I
Mhm.
didn't go home and grab my ice cream. It was like that was actually like a good date, whether he was my guy, maybe not, but I never went on a single date with a guy that was an asshole or a commitment phobe or, a guy where I'm just like, what am I doing here? I genuinely enjoyed dating for the first time. So while I didn't have a ton of time to enjoy the dating because I met my husband pretty quickly, it was just a really nice experience and I felt very opposite
Mhm.
for several years before that.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, the experience that you had previously led you to literally start helping people because you realized that there has to be more people the same, like feeling the same way as you did, and that you can help them because you figured out something that is literally like, what a big change, right? Like, since you when that shift happened, basically, how
Yeah.
completely changed it, right?
Yeah. And I see that you can't hide behind it, right? Like you can in
Hmm.
other parts of your life. It's professionally, for example, yeah, there's a lot of mindset in it with worthiness and so forth and so on. It certainly is, but there's ways to kind of hide it and there's ways to go around it. But
Hmm.
when it comes to our relationships, we can't, and we don't see how often we are creating problems for ourselves. And frankly, my
Mm,
parents' marriage was really great. So I saw a great representation of what that looks like.
that's
And I felt like
interesting.
because I had had trauma
Hmm.
in my life, to have my parents, let's say, not have a good marriage on top of everything else would have been a lot more difficult. So I really saw what respect was. My parents, I don't believe I ever saw or heard my parents yell at each other.
Mm.
There was never fighting, there was
Hmm.
never disrespect. And the way that my father spoke about my mother behind her back was always with such classiness and grace and kindness. I mean, he really, truly loved the crap out of her. And I mean, I certainly felt the same in return, but for me as a woman to see my father speak about my mother so kindly when, when you're in moments when it's just the two of you, it's an opportunity to be a little bit more honest, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
There was just so much, again, just respect and love there, and I wanted that for myself, and I kept failing there, obviously. And once I did the work, it made me believe that much more that it does matter because I was in the trenches with my clients, making
Mhm.
bad decisions and unhealthy decisions. And it also allowed me to see how important the work is. And I created a whole, almost like different version of what I wanted to see. Because I feel like coaching and therapy are just not enough for people. There's elements of it and aspects that I think are really good, but I don't believe that either of them on their own are enough for people to really see, experience, feel true change. I think it's like you can see little
Yep.
kind of, movements here and there with certain things, but I don't feel like either of them are complete enough in order for basically everyone, we've all had trauma of some sort, to live the best life that we can and make the best choices that you can.
Yeah, yeah, that makes 100% sense. And it's really interesting because I would be guessing that, like, you having a problem, but yeah, in compliment, you having problem with relationships, I would guess that there was a problem with, parentship, like parent relationship or so on, because like that's usually the like type of not motivator, but you are growing up in this type of environment, so like it's literally passing over to on you, right? It's really interesting. So basically, you've been looking for the way that your dad was um basically behaving to your mother. You wanted somebody who gonna behave similar way, so you like the way that they've been basically living together and had the relationship, so you've been looking for the same but you couldn't find, and you've been, is that Is that correct?
Yeah, it does.
Mm,
Interestingly, the mirroring aspect was there where I could see very clearly a relationship that 99 probably percent of the world didn't see or didn't have. So I
mm,
definitely had that aspect. The problem for me was the trauma. And that
mm.
was what had changed me because I also was not getting the proper support. I'd been in therapy since I was 15, might have even been 14.
Hold
But
on
it
for a second. What do you mean by the trauma? What was the trauma? I don't know if I miss it, or what why are you telling about the trauma like that it hold you on? What was it even for you?
So there were a lot of things that happened when I was younger that, I mean, my father was handicapped. That was definitely one issue that I had, but I had a lot of things that had gone on in my life. My grandmother died in my arms. Um, there were multiple things that happened. I was 10. There were multiple things that happened, and even more than that, that changed the way that I think about, myself and what I deserve. I really felt like I was damaged goods. And I felt
Mm,
like I basically like deserved to be in like the clearance section because I didn't have a story that was just this like really beautiful, like sweet, enjoyable kind of fairy tale type of story. It had complication. And I think because I grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood, a lot of people thought that my life should have been wonderful. And while it was amazing and I'm incredibly grateful that I did not have to worry about where my next meal was, trauma doesn't necessarily just stay away from people with money. So there was definitely, I mean, there was just sadness in my family in general. I mean, my father being handicapped is enough to live differently, but it also
mhm,
allowed me, and I had several people in my family just sort of randomly handicapped. And I mean, I could think of three, and there's actually another like very close family friend of ours. And I got to see, I mean, A, how, they can struggle, but also the strength that they have
mhm,
and the resilience and not judging people as much as other people do. So sometimes I think, why am I who I am? I mean, the good, the bad,
mhm,
the ugly, there's a lot of all of it. And one gift, that I was given, especially, I mean, that's all I knew. I mean, my father was handicapped before I was born. So to see him and the kind of pain he was in, to see the strength, that he had, to see other family members have different issues than he had, but also have certain issues. It was really powerful, and
mhm.
that alone is a lesson that you can't teach someone. I mean, you can't. You can try, and there's elements and aspects that you can teach to not bully and not judge and not criticize and not label. And certainly, there are things that parents can do to teach their kids to be better, but me being in it, it is very different. And living with someone, is
Mhm,
very different. My entire life was different. I always felt very different from everyone else because the
mhm,
issues that I had, like my lifestyle was very different. I
mhm,
mean, it's
mhm,
not really something that I even talk about a lot, but it's something that naturally changes you. And my
mhm,
brother, I was 15 when my brother went to college. It got even more difficult because then it was just me. I was the
mhm,
only child then at home. And there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot, that you see that you can't unsee. There's a lot you hear that you can't unhear. It's very different. And I think it makes you a different person. It kind of has to.
mhm. That's so powerful. Wow. Okay, so you had a lot of experience when it comes to like straight up from your young age. You pretty much like have you been like taking care of your, did you say brother? Was it brother that you have brother that you've been taking care of? Also like a younger brother?
I have an older brother.
Oh, older brother.
Yeah, but
Okay.
he's well.
Okay.
There were other family members that had issues, but my father was the main one in my family who had
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. 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 Wow. So you either, even though you've been in, in basically business environment since your young age, you studied college and so on. You've been going on the value on the, the leather, like corporate leather type of thing. You've been still buying into that, or like how your parents actually like, what was the way that they presented you the world? Like, did you give you options that you can decide based on it, or like it was more like this is the like we would love to if you could go on the entrepreneurship path more like because this is like you have better options and so on.
They never really pushed us any specific
Mm-hmm.
way. There was never pressure put on us, which I appreciate. My brother and I
Mm-hmm.
are both entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I think again, there's like something biological about that. I don't even know. I mean, it's like many, of the people in my family, especially the people that came before me,
Mm-hmm.
multiple people, especially men that were very successful, very smart, all self-made, and there was never pressure or an expectation or anything. But I think for me, I can speak for myself. It was, I mean, like I said, I had that vision since I was little. Like no one put that in my head. I just created that and I always saw it and it was always, it was so vivid. And I tried to push away a little bit from actually becoming a therapist because, and that was that kind of like 22 to 25 area where I was working for other people. The working for other people part was just sort of a stopgap. I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do the therapy thing, but I felt like I was too emotional and sensitive to do that for a living because it does feel a little bit
Mm-hmm.
cold. Therapy, there does have to be this kind of distance, which I don't agree with, by the way, but
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of made up my own rules.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I roll. And so, with my own version of quote unquote therapy, because it's not really therapy, but my own version of it exists something very different. But obviously, with what I knew the model was, I'm a sensitive person. If I see someone else cry, sometimes I get emotional. I can't do that, right? So it took me a while, and I just was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for it. I
Mm-hmm.
know what's gone on around me. I know the nickname. I know, everyone talking to me. Like I get it all. I see it all, but I was very hesitant, for a while, and I was in fashion for a little bit, and I do love fashion. Like I will always have a huge
I
love
see
for
where,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean, we
I
talked about
heard
my
that
shopping
that's
problem.
probably that's when when the obsession came from.
Yeah, I mean, like literally though. But it's interesting because I do have that obsession, but I'm very big with like image consulting. I do a lot of that with my clients. A lot of them will fly in and I go shopping with them or for them. So I've
Mhm.
actually integrated into what I do, which I love.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if I ended up doing something in fashion at some point, a little bit later on. I love it so much. But so I loved it, but I didn't like the business behind it. I didn't
Mm,
have a great experience. I worked at a showroom in New York City and I didn't like the vibe. I didn't
yep.
like just it was just a lot of like not nice girls, that would just
Yep.
sort of talk badly about people. I don't know. It just was like not for me. So I like the idea, like the front facing part of it, but the sort of back end, I just didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's changed since then, obviously. That was a long time ago. But it was exactly what I thought I wanted to do. So my life sort of shattered. But I think that actually was almost like the universe saying, like, girl, it's not the right thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I kept trying different things. I tried real estate, like I said, totally not for me. It could have been because I like the people aspect. I would just sit and chat with people, right? As we were like trying to see these,
But that's
houses and
interesting
apartments.
because now you are even more in those like in a people business basically because
Yeah,
like if you think about it like well everything all businesses are
everything is
people
people. Yeah,
like you can think about anything around the world and everything is people like
totally.
if you don't serve people you won't be making money because people are holding the money so this is literally how you gonna you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So, but it's really interesting because like the a whole story that like the whole background that you are sharing with me and so on and with all of us is like you had some type of it, it seems to me like you have some type of vibe inside of you or you could create the environment around you that make people feel good around you and they want to be
comfortable.
around you and they want to be sharing stuff with you because you are really good at holding that space really well, right? That's probably and you didn't have to even work on it probably because it seems like that is like something that you are good at since the beginning,
Yeah, it
right?
was just a natural
Yeah.
trait that I have, and it feels so normal and real for me.
Mm,
And something that people ask me often is, how do you deal with kind of the work version of you, the therapist version of you, and then being, with the mom, because I basically have to go like from working to like pick up my kids and go into a totally different mode, and then also go into like wife mode and mom mode. And
yep.
Nothing changes. I mean, I don't curse in front of my kids where I do curse with my clients. And, every once in a while in Jersey, it's like how we roll, it's
Yeah,
how we communicate.
yeah.
But besides that, nothing changes. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm very open with my clients. There's no mask. There's no, oh, like, let me be this, other person now. There is no like turn on, turn off. Like there's no
Yep.
button. So that's why it doesn't get exhausting. A lot of people have coaching fatigue, that I know where they just end up burnt out. And I think a lot of it is, and like, listen, it is hard work. So don't get me wrong. But I think it's either that this is not for the person, it's just like not their career,
Hmm.
or it's that they're trying to be something that they're not, and to do that is exhausting, and it's exhausting anyway. But
Yeah.
then to on top of it either do something like you're not really passionate about, or it's like just not your thing, or it's something that you feel you need to be something that you're not to be that thing. It's just, I mean, that sounds awful to me. I mean, I'm so
Yeah, where do you think it's coming from? This, like exactly what you're saying. This is literally programming. Like this is how most of the people operate because they think they are not good enough being in front of those people and basically like bold and being themselves completely, and it's hurting them actually more than serving them,
yeah. I mean, one
right?
of the things that I shifted for myself, because I am actually a very, very shy person, or I was when I was younger, I'll say. I've worked very hard to not be that, where people are like, what? I mean, they're shocked
Yeah,
to know
I'm
that
too.
and see that,
I
because I mean,
know.
I was like painfully shy,
I know what you're
probably
talking
more than
about.
anyone I know.
Yeah.
Like to the point where when I was young, if we would order a pizza, I would not get on the phone to order that pizza. That would not be me. I would always give the
Ooh,
phone to my parents and be like, nope,
that's
not going to
another
be me.
level.
Oh yeah, no,
I,
I was like
no,
painfully,
for me it was more
painfully shy.
like if I should go into a like a place where there's more like lots of people, even though it's family members, sometimes
Yeah.
like literally like from that we not really seeing that often. It literally was like a challenge for me to get there,
Yes.
right? It was like yeah, I get it.
I mean,
I
it was
get it. What it
crippling.
feels like. Yeah.
And when I really built my brand, and even now it's not, much thankfully of an issue, but every once in a while, the kind of old version of me still comes out. Like that's how I obviously was just born. That's how I was made. So every once in a while, I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to like go back in my shell a little bit. But, and I actually have to be out there more. A lot of it's just more of a time issue, but some of it probably is a little bit of the, kind of shyness in me that's still like, there's like a little bit that still exists. But one thing that shifted for me, the first time that I ever spoke on stage, I mean,
Hmm.
I was terrified. The first time I was on TV, I was terrified. I mean, the first time I did any of these sort of bigger things, I
Yeah.
still can't believe it. When I even think about it, I'm like, how the hell, did this even happen? I mean, it's just like that girl, to this person, it's like, what the hell? But something that someone else said, and to be honest, I don't even remember who it was. I hate to say
Hmm.
that. I don't remember. But what they said, and I continually remind myself, is that it's not about me. It's about other
Hmm.
people. So if I think like, what if I fuck up, or what if I say something I
Love
shouldn't,
it.
or what if I look like an idiot, or what if I whatever? It's like, first of all, a lot of times when you are like, they don't even notice, right? I mean, half the shit that goes on, like people don't even notice. But I'm like, if I make it about me helping other people, and if there's anything I can say or anything that I can do to make someone's life different, and that's from, a book I've written to, it's like $20 to something free that I just put out on social media to something
Oh,
that
whoa,
someone pays
wait a moment.
thousands for.
You wrote the book also?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm working on my
What is the
second
name?
one.
Say, oh, you're writing the second one. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
interesting. What is it about, the first one? Just
The
like,
first one, it's called It's Not Them, It's You. And it's
yeah.
about exactly what it says. It's about, accountability and taking responsibility for your life. It's about
Yes.
self-awareness and relationships,
Ooh.
some of my story, some of my lessons,
Mhm.
some of my action steps. It's a really beautiful version of just what I feel, the stripped down version of like what I feel people really need to hear, and what I feel that my clients are dealing with that are basically getting in their own way. Like it's the blind spots.
Right. If I may ask, what prompted you to write it?
I have a million books in me because, and it's so
Mhm.
interesting too, because I just finished my second. But when I finish something, I'm always like, oh God, there's like, I need another one, like I just need to go again. Because I have so much that I want to say. And I like the idea of it being almost like one-sided in a way,
Mm,
because I get to just say whatever I want to say for however long I want to say it in whatever, word choice or, in this one I literally wrote like in a week. I just
really
sort of wrote and
interesting.
went, and I actually sent it to someone on my team. Just I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't, show anyone. Last time I was like obsessing over everything. I had, multiple copywriters looking at it and multiple editors writing, and it was like, and by the way, I just changed everything they did anyway the first time, so that was kind of pointless, because I'm me. And I don't like people telling me what to do. So I sent it to someone on my team, and he's like, "This is brilliant." I'm like, "It is," with my second one, because I figured it's like, all right, we'd have to like, this is a start. But he's like, it's, I mean, he's like, it's amazing, and it actually like made me tear up because I hadn't sent it to anyone. It was so different from my other book, which is probably like 2 or 3 years old now, but it also shows my growth, right? Where it's like, I see how I don't need that validation. I don't need someone else. I mean, I literally like had my mother read it. I had my husband read it. I had like multiple people read it. And I had multiple people editing it and everything else. And I'm like, no, because then I'm editing my own voice. I love the idea of just being able to share what I want to share and say what I want to say, how I want to say it. And it is a little disruptive. So it's not going to be for everyone. But I don't want people to say, like, oh, don't say that. Or like, oh, I don't know. Like, should we, is that too much? Or I just wanted to kind of like sit and share what I wanted to share in the way that felt valuable. And there were times like I wrote it once and I just kind of like diarrheaed from the mouth and wrote it out. And then I had to go through it again to kind of make it feel more of an experience for the reader.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure exactly when this will come out. It should be soon. I probably shouldn't be talking about it, but oh well. But that's kind of like who
Let's
I
do
am.
better.
Like I can't be told what to do, right? Like I can't be told, like do this, don't do that, show up like this, wear this, say this. I just, and frankly, a lot of the people that I've hired, that's been an issue for me, that I've hired people that were very expensive that basically told me what to do. I'm like, oh, don't do that. Like it's not going to make you money. Or like, don't do that. It makes you look
Mm,
this or that. Or, and I just listened to other people and I'm like, what is this business? I mean, I really
mm,
had to take a pause. Like I kind of like took myself, I wouldn't say off social media, like I definitely do stories and things like that, but I didn't do as much reels and I kind of haven't, if you look now. And while there's like a panic in me, obviously, where like the algorithm is going to hate me now. So like it is kind of like starting over, but it is actually like kind of starting over. Like I have a decent following, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm even doing or saying anymore. Like I'm not, this isn't me. It doesn't sound like me. It doesn't look like me. People will say like this version, I like that version on social media. It's
mm.
not, I don't get it. Like
The
it's not
growth
the
in
same
me, like,
version.
yeah, the growth, like what happened, right? Like you being
It's not
with the
you,
different, yeah, yeah, I get it, yeah,
right?
100%.
So I mean, I'm doing things now in my business that I didn't have the balls to do before, and
Ooh,
I outsourced so much of my own like wisdom and intelligence, my own instincts to have someone else that I felt like I'm the one that's really good at like the therapy, coaching, like that world. Other people are good at the marketing world. And while like, that is true, like I should stay in my lane, like I'm not a marketer, right? But in the same respect, like this is my business though.
mhm,
So I know better than other people. And if there's a strategy that may be quote unquote better for me monetarily, but it's not necessarily my vibe or my thing or what I like it's not all about money, obviously, it's about helping people, then it's like, it's not going to do well, right? So even if in theory it could, but I don't believe in it, or it's just not something that's just, I don't know, it's not comfortable for me, it's not natural, whatever the case may be. I think a lot of coaches and therapists and business owners in general will outsource a lot of things, not just because of busyness and everything else, but because it's their weakness, which I do understand because obviously we're not going to be good at everything. So I get that, but it can't be at the expense of your own, I don't know, like passion
mhm,
and your own knowledge and judgment. Like you know yourself best, this is your
yep,
business, and if
yep,
there's something that doesn't feel right, like that took me a long time, like many years. So while it kind of sounds like a like duh, type of situation, it took me years. I'm like, why is this not working? You know what I mean? Like I've
mhm,
hired so many people over the years, I've done this for so many years. Like what, why am I here? Like I just wasn't growing. Like I've gotten to like a really nice place and that's wonderful, but it's like, why is this not building even bigger? And like, why is this not growing in the way that I want to? I really had to kind of have like a come to Jesus moment as a Jew, to say to myself, like, what is this? You know what I mean? Because I can't just be like, oh, I just hired badly. Like that's true to some
Mm,
extent with some people, obviously. Like we've all had our war stories, but I noticed that it was about me, that I didn't feel aligned enough or good enough. And I just sort of sat in silence for a while. And while it was driving me crazy, because I'm someone that needs to like move and go and do and be, and I just needed to kind of sit and just kind of go back to the basics, which sounds strange because I've been doing this for so many years. But I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. You know, it doesn't feel
mm,
right. It doesn't feel like me. I've done that much more growth on me, on myself in the last couple of years that I'm like, it just doesn't match like where I'm at right now. And now I'm like starting to get my groove. And even then, it's kind of like now ideas are flowing, like things are, it's actually so much easier, which is kind of weird. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's great. And then you just build the people, you hire the people after the fact. I was kind of doing the opposite, where I wanted the other people to build the thing and do the
mm.
thing. Now I'm building it and doing it. And then I'm like, okay, you like help me actually execute it because it's, I can't do that kind of stuff, nor do I have the time. But it feels so good because people are like, do you want to do it? I'm like, no. But I used to be the person that was like, do you think I should do it? And it's like, it's not my business. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's like, why would I ask them? I mean, to some degree, opinions are fine, but I just outsource everything. So that was a huge pivot for me lately where I'm just doing me, and like, I don't know if that's going to be for
Focusing,
everyone, but
focusing
it,
on
it has
you.
to be what works for me.
That's love. I love it. Yeah, this is really, really cool because like I don't know about you, but like I'm the person that I have to grow all the time. Like I cannot stop. Like it's insane. Like I am the type of person that if I see that I waste time, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, I can't just like I just can't sit and do nothing.
It's
I don't
true.
know. I'm just looking all the ways how I can grow, how I can do something better, how I like there is so much information out there. And like,
Mhm.
people like I don't get how other people can just literally sit like after they finish their work watch the TV or
Mhm.
drink alcohol. Or I'm not drinker. I'm not smoker. I hate it. I hate to be like in like affected by something that is not under my control. I know that the life is just certain amount of like we have all the same amount of time basically on this world. So why not using the time into the best potential and growing yourself because the best investments that you can thing can do is you, right? And like growing your greatness and then help and using it to help other people. Like this is insane to me. Like people are all the time like crying about money and how the circumstances guys, like if you would understand that the game is about people and like doing things for other people is so simple, like just I don't know, solve other people problems. Like there are millions and millions of I don't know. Anyway, like I'm so passionate about this type of topic. Like and
So am I.
when it comes to like what you went through and how you grew and what you do now, it's just insane. And I like I'm just enjoying to talking to you because like the like what you described and how you grew up and how you get like even through the whole basically problems that you had with your family and was happening inside of the family and with problems with your relationships and so on and going through this struggle to become this person that you are right now and continue growing is just insane and I love it. Thank you so much for sharing this because it's like it's so powerful. And my another question then for from there would be what is for you the the core driving source when it comes to what growth mean for you? That's gonna be better to ask.
It's everything. I mean, it
Mm,
literally is. And I find that a lot of people will live a very mediocre life
mm-hmm,
and choose to justify it. And instead of doing something about it, they just kind of fake their own happiness. And a lot of people are doing it, they don't even realize it because they don't know that there is anything better. It's almost like
mm-hmm.
ignorance is bliss in a way. And I see it with
Yeah.
so many people, and especially some of the best people I know are the ones that are most, insecure and hesitant, and you just want to shake them, whether it's, a friend of mine or a client or a family member, or it's it's sad. And I used to be that person. And I think about, and I do sometimes just for perspective and everything, because self-development in some ways is sort of a thankless job. It's a lifestyle change. It's a constant thing. There is no end point. I think a lot of people think it's just like, oh, I just do this little thing and then everything's great. It doesn't work that way. It is constant and, or you're plateauing or worse, going backward, obviously. So it is a constant
Yeah.
thing. And I actually love it. I mean, and you see the difference between someone who's doing the work and
Yeah.
someone who's not. And a lot
Yeah.
of people are making excuses. And a lot of people go to therapy because other people won't go to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, the self-awareness problem that is out there is just horrifying. And I think people don't even realize the things that they say. Oftentimes, when people say things that are off-putting to someone else, I don't think generally they're trying to be mean. They just don't know any better. Like they don't
Mhm.
even slow down enough to think about what they're saying and how it actually could affect someone else or how it does affect. And our words mean a lot. Our actions are super powerful. But when they come from a place of not being healed and what I call emotional residue, which is like the leftover stuff from the shit that we've dealt with in our lives,
Mhm.
when we don't deal with it properly, and most don't, it it starts to, it's like mold. You know what I mean? It starts
Mhm.
to just kind of stink, and then it like really is gross, and then it starts spreading, and then
Yeah.
it's like a domino thing, and you just end up
Yeah.
sick, and that's why a lot of people have autoimmune diseases, frankly.
Mhm.
Obviously some are biological, but for a lot of the people that I see, just in like chronic stress, I mean, seeing what that does on people's bodies. I mean, and I'm super into like functional medicine now, and I see like stress is one of the worst things on our body. Yet we really, it's like, yes, there's meditation, like, yes, there's things people do, but which is thankfully, a thing now, where it obviously wasn't very long ago. But we like our body is always in like flight or fight, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yep.
just we don't see how much our nervous system like doesn't calm down and how much we are always sort of in this state of being defensive, and
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
treats other people to have to feel like they need to walk on eggshells around you so they're not honest around you. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think helps with people's comfort around me, is that I'm the first one to be like, "Ooh, I fucked that up." You know what I mean? Like that was
Mhm.
not cool. But I fix it. I don't just say
Just
like, "Ooh, I
you
like
make it
messed
like
up."
transparent in front of them, right? Like completely transparent, like like you are the person, like you are you basically in front of people.
Yes. And I say things that other people are thinking that they don't want to say, and it might be inappropriate at times, but I say it because someone needs to. And I'm always going to be
Mhm.
authentically me. I don't know how to be anything else. Like that to me is probably part of where my voice was taken in some ways, because I did have like a mouth on me, and I do curse, and I do say things that are kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily inappropriate, but they're things that people like want to say but don't say. And I didn't want to be this like cute, like little, like sweet girl. Like I just didn't want to be that. And I think I didn't have the boldness to just sort of be me. And I'm not for everyone, right? Like the people who like love me are obsessed, but the people that are not are like, girl, you're not for me. And that's totally fair. And I think we're
Exactly.
so afraid of that. I think we're still not as evolved as we should be from the hunter gatherer days, really, where like everything you said, everything you did mattered. And if your tribe just sort of left you behind, like you were dead. I mean, literally, you were just good as dead. And I think we try to so often be the same as everyone else, to be in that sort of like, sheep sort of herd mentality. But
Whew.
the differentiator
Whew.
with who you
Yeah.
actually are, like the quirks and the kind of like little fun, unique things about you, or the things that actually make you interesting, are the things that people are going to think about, whether it's a business relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, doesn't matter. That's what's going to make you be memorable. So while everyone else is going left, like I want to go right. Like I'm
Mhm.
the person that's like, why is everyone going left? Like, why can't we go right? Like I'm just, I didn't have the, I mean, I guess we can say balls to push back, but now I really love being disruptive, where I'm like, I don't think that works, or like, I don't think that system is good, or I think that's broken, or I don't think that's what, and that's where a lot of the therapy stuff that I don't really believe in, the model is fully there. And I don't think the model is fully there for coaching either. I always say like therapy teaches, or talks really, and coaching is about the teaching aspect. It's like, where's the transformation? So I
Mhm.
created a whole new version of self-development that doesn't really exist, which is really what this book is, this new book,
Mhm.
where I'm like, there just needs to be something else because it's not enough. It's like it's something, but again, if therapy were enough, like people would be happy and they're not. And if coaching were enough, more people would be happy and they're not. So there's more to do there. But growth is everything because if you're not, like I said, you're either staying the same or worse, you're reverting backward. And we all have shit. There's not a single person on this planet that could defend to me that they don't need to get help from someone when it comes to just mindset. Like, forget anything else. But when it comes to mindset, and the people that I know that are doing best in life, and that's all around, not just financially, but all around, are the people that have other people in their lives that hold them accountable. The consistency is key, and it's not doing something once in a while when it just, you're like, oh shit, I forgot. I like haven't done this in a while. But it's something that you do every day without fail, and you're able to call yourself out, but still appreciate and respect yourself. Like I can sit here and be like, oh, I fucked up, like I said before, right? Where I'm like, oh, I really like, I messed this up. But I can say that without being like, so I'm terrible. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
doesn't exist. It's not the same thing. I
no.
made a mistake because I'm human. And as long as I fix it and show the person like this isn't going to happen again to the best of my ability, that's another thing. Like we don't apologize. We don't take accountability for things. And when we do apologize, it's sort of a half-ass thing. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Mhm.
You're putting it on the other person.
Yeah.
Like that, there's no ownership in that. And the defensiveness that I see from a friendship level, from a familial level, from a romantic level, it's just a mess. Like there's no
Mhm.
surprise that our relationships suck. I mean, and it's not just romantically. I think a lot of people think that all I do is romantic relationships. I don't. When I say I'm a dating relationship expert, like yes, there's dating involved in that, but it's really more of a relationship expert where it's all
Mhm.
relationships that we have. A lot of it funnels into itself. And if you're not growing, I mean, you can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see
Is
it
it
from a mile
same? Is
away.
it? Would you compare relationship into business? Something like a business. It still has to keep
100%.
growing, and you
It
have to
has
develop.
to. I mean, in
Yeah.
every aspect of your life, if you want to see success in that area, and it doesn't matter what it is, you need to be growing. You need to be pushing yourself. You need to be asking the important questions of like, am I doing enough here? Or how am I showing up here? Or
You have to feed
what
in
am
the
I
bus
responsible
basically
for
the way
here?
that you feeding a business, you have to feed the relationship too, right? Like you have to have this like this is like healthy business probably like it's really interesting because like I see the patterns in every area
Mm.
of our lives pretty much like when it comes to that. But anyway, I don't know if I'm too far ahead anyway.
No.
Yeah.
But it's true. And business is relationships with people. And if you're not
Yeah.
honest with yourself and you don't trust yourself and you're not in tune with yourself, like you're not going to feel in tune with other people. Like if you feel
Yeah.
stuck in business right now, it's an emotional thing. It's
Hmm.
not, I mean, obviously some of it's strategy, but that's like very little of it. A
Yeah.
lot of it is the background type of stuff. And I think a lot of people think that they're afraid to fail, but like we're also afraid to succeed because there's worthiness in that too, where it's like if I
Hmm.
gain success, am I really worthy of it? Because when I would
Hmm.
have someone when I was younger, I'd be like the most awkward person about it. I'd
Yeah.
gain a piece of press that was really great and I'd just sort of send it out to a couple of people and like hope it like didn't happen because I just didn't feel that I deserved it. I wouldn't
I would
read it. I
I would
wouldn't look at
even
it.
I would even say the strategies that you mentioned, like in a business, and so in relationship, there are some strategies. When you think about it, like bringing a flower, that's a pretty much strategy too. Like bringing flowers or buying something, like or inviting your partner on a day, or like doing like
Yes.
something that actually help the business. It's pretty much strategy. Like it's very similar.
Yes. I mean, it's
In my
self-awareness, it's
Yeah,
slowing down, it's thinking of other
exactly.
people, it's the small things. It's really stripping things down and going back to the basics.
Yeah,
But we didn't learn any of these skills or tools in school.
no.
Right? And we didn't learn it. I mean, I don't care how many degrees you have. I have multiple degrees. It doesn't matter. You don't
Yeah.
learn these things anywhere. And I think instead of chasing a ball around, in gym class, like we should be learning these life skills. And we don't. And then you're just thrusted into, this like adult world having, again, like no tool belt really. And it's interesting because we all obviously have all of the things naturally to use all these tools, but we don't know how to use any of them. We don't know when to use them. It's like giving like a 2-year-old, an
Yeah.
entire tool belt and being like, here, go create, go make a table, from scratch. It's not that we can't, it's that we don't because we don't know
Mhm.
how. Because who teaches you? So as much as sometimes I think like almost like why do I have a career? It's like because no
Oh
one,
my
right? I mean, like
gosh.
why? Like it's such an interesting thing that I do. It's such a, niche thing. I mean, it's rare. People like look at me with five heads and they're like, "Wow, like you do what? And like how? And what is, they have like a million questions." It's because we don't have this skill. Like you said, it's a problem, right? I mean, that's all really business is like finding a problem and solving it for people.
Mm,
It's a huge problem that we have, and there's really no solution to it
mm,
because of the trauma we've had, because of the lack of really the consistent available help to people, because a lot of people have not had the best upbringing and we don't know how to deal with it. And we try to recreate patterns, we try to uncreate certain patterns, and we make choices to try to better ourselves, but oftentimes it's through the lens of our trauma because
mhm.
we haven't dealt with it. And because we don't have the tools to actually have good relationships with people, like that, it stinks, and it's unfortunate because people deserve to have good relationships with people. Your legacy has everything to do with other people talking about you. Because if
Mhm.
you, God forbid, died tomorrow, let's say someone else, right? Let's say Tony dies tomorrow, right? Because I don't want to be morbid and talk about ourselves. So Tony dies tomorrow, right? And he didn't particularly have relationships with people. No one's going to talk about him. No one's going to share stories. Nothing lives on. It's like he's dead, literally. And so is like his memory, so is his legacy, so is anything he ever left. And I'm not even talking about being like uber successful and having your name on, every single, platform and every single place where, someone is recognizable. It's not necessarily about that. Obviously, that will give you a version,
Mhm.
of having a legacy, sure, like being famous and so forth. But it's about the stories that people
Mhm.
will continue to tell for, I mean, hopefully centuries to come, where it's like this one tells this generation and this generation tells the next generation. But, I've been at certain funerals before where I've listened and you can tell like who's truly beloved and
Mhm.
who actually made a difference in people's lives versus people who are just being nice,
Yeah.
and they're just kind of sharing niceties and just kind of filling, the time because they sort of have to say something. You can feel the difference. And it's not just about someone crying versus not crying, right? That's not even just the emotion,
Yeah.
it's the words that they're sharing, the dialogue, and both from the funeral itself and from just sort of, talking during that time to people. That's how you keep it alive. And people don't realize that.
Mhm.
And it's the little things that you can say to someone to change their entire world. Like we're starving for validation. Like
Mhm.
to the point where, like I said, that guy who hasn't even worked for me for very long, like we obviously really respect each other. So I respect his opinion, but like no one had read it. I mean, not a single person beside me
Mhm.
had read that book at that point. And he left me a WhatsApp message and I teared up, because it was
Mhm.
like, wow, like we all need that validation, where someone that
Mhm.
like I worked really hard on it. Granted, it wasn't a very long time, but like I worked hard, on it. I mean, just every moment I could, and took
Mhm.
time away from my family and doing this. I woke up early, I was staying up late. I mean, till 3, 4 in the morning, I mean, just really trying to just get it done because I had so many thoughts and everything else. But to have someone, he's like, it's brilliant. Like that's literally the word he used. And while to him, it's just sort of like a reaction, right? Like I sent him, it. And so he reacted. But to me, it meant everything. And I told him that. And he's like, well, I'm not surprised, which is really nice. But I mean, we don't say the things that we need to say to people. We often either just say it to someone else
Mhm.
or we just kind of hide it in. Sometimes people, like, for example, I'll be around some of my girlfriends and someone will be like, by the way, I love your sweater. Right. And
Oh.
then other girls will be like, oh my God, I do, I do too. Like I meant to say that. It's like, but why didn't you? You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
interesting that it can be just the smallest thing that we share with people
It's so
that
true.
really connects you to the
Yeah.
person. They
It's
remember it
so true. I
forever.
see it so many times. Like so
Right?
many
I mean,
times.
it could be the smallest thing where someone's like, oh, like, your skin is beautiful, or like, I love your nails, or like your shoes are really fucking cool, or,
Yeah.
just like, I love your shirt. It doesn't matter what it is, just being kind to people. And I actually started this thing where it was like once a week and now it's every single day where I do something for a stranger. It's not even someone that I know because that just sort of happens naturally, but I do something for a stranger every single day in whatever way that I can. And if I really kind of don't have time to go out, I'll still go out, on the way to picking up the kids, let's say, and we'll go somewhere and say something to someone because we don't realize how much that can make someone's day. And it's not typical
Mm,
that we get compliments, unfortunately, right? So people think things, but they're like, oh, it's kind of weird. I shouldn't say anything. Like, what are they going to say? It's
mm,
weird. I don't know. And so we get kind of like awkward about it. But it's the stories that we share, it's the memories that we create, it's the connection, it's being there for someone. Like there are times where people have said something that's, I don't know, it was 20 years ago. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they're like, you changed my life. And I'm like, what are you talking? And not even like professionally. I'm just saying, just whatever. And that's actually another thing too, professionally. There are times where I'll say something that's pretty profound and my client would be like, all right, and then I'll say something that just kind of seems sort of, I don't know, trivial and just kind of not that exciting. And they're like,
mm,
holy shit, right? And you're just like, really? But it's like you just don't know what that golden nugget is that someone needs to hear to change their entire perspective. Like, I just urge everyone to share
mm,
more about how you feel and what you think, and even just texting someone right now and just being like, I appreciate you so much.
mm, yeah.
Just because, not because they did
Mm,
something, not because they performed, not because, of any specific reason, just like letting people know that is huge. And that's something that I'm doing a lot, where
mm.
if I have 3 minutes,
It
where I'm
can
waiting
make
for someone, I'm
yeah,
at the doctor, doesn't matter where I'm at,
it can
I'm in
make the
line, at the grocery store,
yeah,
whatever it is,
yeah.
where I'm just, I'll pick like 3 or 4 people and be like, I love you so much, or like, I appreciate you so much, or, how are you feeling, or how are you doing, or how's your mom, or,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, it's just those little things. Like, people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, it's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, start caring about
It can
people,
make the
start
whole
thinking about
day
people.
for them, right? Like it can completely change the day for the person. Like
Yes.
literally having this some just a little thing, and like you can, yeah, it's just insane. And um, I'm experiencing it even now. Like when I'm having this amazing conversation and with lots of people, and I'm more and more in touch with amazing people, and it's really interesting because like only the entrepreneurs doing this type of thing. Like they're just texting you because they like you because the way that we like having this conversation and so on, and like I'm enjoying it, they're enjoying it, and like we are like staying in touch, like it changed completely my whole world to be able to interview like people like you and so on. It's just so amazing. People doesn't have to be alone. People think that in a business we have to like business is like the lonely journey. No, no, not necessary. It depends on you, really. If you do
I
it this
mean, it
way,
is in theory.
yeah.
Right? I mean, in theory, it is. But, and especially if you don't have a lot of entrepreneurs around you, but when
Hmm.
you make it your mission
Hmm.
to connect to other people, because of the fact that if you know it's a lonely thing, it's going to be lonely for other people too.
Yeah.
Don't make it feel lonely for yourself or other people and reach out. I mean, some of my closest friends are from the business world. Even some of my closest guy friends, frankly, are from the business world where, we met during a networking event or I hired them to do something or whatever it is. It's like literally some of my closest friends, especially my guy friends, are people that, was some sort of business contact and now they're like, brothers to me. It's a beautiful thing.
Very
And
interesting, right?
right? I mean,
And
and
how
it doesn't
everything,
take
yeah,
much
yeah,
to reach out to someone and
yeah.
not to sell them some scammy bullshit stuff, but to actually reach out to someone and be like, how are you? And not have any agenda
Yeah.
or any kind of thing that's going to come after the, how are you piece to like, oh, would you like to buy my whatever? Do you want to get on a call and talk about, not that like stupid salesman crap, but where we're actually connecting to other people because
Mhm.
that's really our lifeline,
Yeah.
and having like really meaningful, genuine interactions and conversations and not having it feel so surfacey and
Yeah.
again just business related. Like I want to get to know who you are, and if there is business that happens, great,
Yeah.
cool. But if not, which oftentimes it doesn't, I'm okay with that. I don't need it to be that every single person I speak to it must turn into money or it was a total waste for me. I feel the opposite.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. This is like we are already over an hour here. Um, I have a couple of like rapid fire question that I'm usually asking everybody, but I enjoy this conversation so much. This is like you are amazing. The
Thank
way that
you.
you speak, what you do for others, like you are awesome.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I'm talking to lots of people, so I like to say that you are really cool.
Thank
Um,
you.
so when it comes to the first question would be one book that literally changed your life. What is one book that changed your life and you would recommend people to read?
Probably wait. You know what? I'm actually gonna look right now because I'm in the middle of it and I'm blanking out on the name. Give me one
No
second. Let me
problem.
see if I can find it quickly. The Body Keeps Score,
The Body Keeps Score.
which is
Okay.
about trauma. And again, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
done with it, so um, but
Interesting.
I'm very into it.
Awesome. The second question is, if you could delete one piece of advice from the internet forever, what that would be? What would you
I could
delete?
delete.
Something that completely doesn't serve anybody.
I think it's the idea of self-development being just this kind of quick, fast, overnight, type of rags to riches, almost like story, and the way that people simplify it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And like you
Yeah.
can't join a book club and listen to a podcast once a week and think that that's self-development. It's not. I mean, it's good to do, but it's
Well,
not
it's still
self-development.
better than do
Oh
nothing.
yeah, I mean, I
Like
just said it's good to do.
100%.
I
Like,
mean, but it's better than nothing,
yeah.
sure. But that's not true self-development. And I think a lot of people think it's something that it's not. And I think the internet doesn't help with that. It's not this like, oh, like look in the mirror and tell yourself I love you. It's like
Mhm.
that's not it. I mean, like, sure, go do that, absolutely. Because often we look in the mirror and look at our flaws, but it's greater than that. It's bigger than that. Like we got to go really deep. And if you want to like really rip it out at the root, you have to be able to rip it out at the root. I mean, that means you got to really go there
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
just kind of like putting lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um, and the third one would be, if that would be your last interview you would ever done, what would be the message for the other people that you would like to leave behind you?
I want people to do more when it comes to call it self-development, to working on
Mm,
yourself, whatever that means and whatever that looks like. That is my message. And I think a lot of people don't take it seriously. They're either not getting the proper help and they're just seeing a therapist week to week and they're like, I mean, it's fine. I don't know that anything's happening. But, right. So I think it's questioning like what kind of help are you receiving if you are receiving some. I think for other people that are not, I just, and it's not even about necessarily seeing me. I don't care if anyone doesn't see me ever again. It's not even about that. See someone. Like everyone, in my opinion, needs to see someone because we all have our shit and we all have our blind spots, no matter like the brightest people I know that are literally savants
mhm.
need coaching, need help, need someone else to guide them. It's accountability, it's someone else believing in them sometimes when they don't
Mhm.
believe in themselves. And I'm not saying to fully outsource that, but I've noticed even with like some of my more confident clients, especially ones where we've gone through more of the journey, just like I said to you with the book, right? Where it's like, I'm a fairly confident person, but just hearing him say that, like we all want someone to clap for us. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so, like, yeah, I need to get on my ass with my clients to be like, what are we doing? Like, let's go, but then, I need to coddle too and treat people like they deserve to be treated and be that
Mhm.
cheerleader for them,
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me is to get help in whatever way that looks like. And it's not because you're a fucked up mess or because,
No,
you've
I'm
got
the
all these
most
problems.
fucked up person out there, I would say, in my opinion.
Say
You
it
know what
again.
I mean? Like,
Say that again. What'd you say?
that I would say that I'm the most fucked up person out
Oh,
there.
I don't know
I
about
don't
that. But I think a
care,
lot of people think
but
they're almost like too
everybody is
damaged.
fucked up some way. Would you say?
Oh yeah, 100%. Every single one of us, because we all have things that we've gone through that have changed us. Whether
But
it's someone that has passed away in our life, whether
but
it's,
that's
you
normal.
know,
Everybody is somehow,
yes,
this
being
way.
bullied,
So what the
having
like
our heart broken.
exactly?
Like we've all been through stuff and it leaves a mark and generally more than
We
we
are
sort of
not
want it
some
to or think it
special
does.
humans doing this and having this conversation and helping.
I mean,
No, we are just
basically,
normal people who are trying to
yes.
do a difference.
And what it comes down to is unless you believe that you are like truly believe, not as a joke, but like genuinely 100% believe that you are a perfect person, literally perfect, and there's absolutely nothing that you could possibly learn or improve on or sharpen, any of your tools, unless you genuinely 100% believe that there's absolutely nothing, there will be nothing, there has been nothing. That's the only person, and I've never met them,
Yeah,
who could defend, not getting some sort of support in some way to work on themselves.
yeah, 100%. That's why I'm still looking for anything that I can improve, like all the time. Do you know that was my point? Like what I was saying, like that I have so many flaws, like all everybody does, and who
Sure.
cares? Like it's on you if you're gonna deal with it or not.
It's
Like
your
anyway,
responsibility.
love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Where people can find you? What is your goal right now that you're actually going towards? Do you have like some type of coaching program or something that you are promoting now, or like you going to, promote or so on?
Yeah, so the book coming out soon, and there are a couple
Hmm.
other goodies that are coming out as well that I'm working on. Like I said, I'm revamping everything, so I'm super excited about it. Where I'm most active is Instagram, which is just Diana Mandell. And if people DM me, they will get a free gift.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And for everybody who's listening, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.